Good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Moni Jefferson, and I am the CEO and co-founder of the Association of Military Spouse Entrepreneurs. And I am so excited to be here and a proud partner of Mentor Makers Movement. I am thrilled to be moderating today, especially on today's topic of entrepreneurship as a military spouse, advancing in my career, and has had its trials and tribulations. Entrepreneurship has provided and given me a way to not only support my family financially, but also to work in an outlet, a field of work, build a career alongside my military member, and also work in my field of work and anywhere around the world. For those of you who may not know, the NASDAQ Center is a nonprofit dedicated to enable entrepreneurs from all over the world to realize their maximum potential and growth. The NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center, along with founding partner Mentor Cloud, launched a free mentor matching platform for entrepreneurs called Mentor Makers. Create your own advisory board to guide and inspire you with in-the-moment mentorship from topic experts and professionals dedicated to providing exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, geographies. Together, we build the greatest exchange of knowledge and expertise in service to entrepreneurs in business today. Find or become a mentor today by using the link in the chat. Entrepreneurs are the dreamers, doers, and visionaries who are not only solving problems our community and world face today, but those that will create a better future for us all. Mentorship matters to all entrepreneurs. Their success is dependent on it. As an avid learner, personally, I have really been enjoying Mentor Makers and its platform. I'm always looking to those around me who have done it before, who have gone through it, and lean into them for mentorship. Mentor Makers has opened those networks, provided support from leading experts that I would have never been able to have a conversation with. Also providing insight and support from professionals in my industry. I am very grateful for the partnership. We will open up for live Q&A at the end of the event, so make sure to take notes from our amazing speakers of panelists of speakers today and pop your questions in. Please submit your questions in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen through the presentation. During this unique times, we are curious how sentiment is amongst the entrepreneurs we work with. We would like to start by taking a poll to let us know how you feel about your business right now. So how are you feeling? Are you feeling fearful? Are you feeling anxious? Are you surviving? Are you optimistic? None of these are the right or wrong answers, but as an entrepreneur myself of over 14 years, I know how it feels to feel all of these feelings, right? It's really natural. And let me see, am I pulling the poll? Let's see. Wow, guys. Optimistic. This is amazing, especially during these times. I feel optimistic too. And I think a lot of that comes back from getting back to normal now that things are kind of getting back to normal after the pandemic. Let's take the second question. What's keeping you up at night? Such a hard question. Finances, sales, marketing, scaling your business, pivoting your team, or surviving. I can also resonate with all of these. As an entrepreneur, all of these can keep you up at night depending on what stage of business you are currently in. All right, let's see the results. Finances, you guys, this is the number one thing. I was thinking it was the number one thing too as well. Finances really can make or break your business, and getting that information on where to find them is very, very important. All right, guys, now that we all know how we feel about our businesses with those amazing polls, we're going to jump into talking about our amazing panelists. So I'm really thrilled to be talking, and I met them before. I'm going to call it the green room. We got a chance to converse, and it was really great. The energy was really great. The collaboration was ecstatic, and I'm just excited to be introducing you guys to Arthur Lyons, and he is our first guest today. He is a U.S. veteran and director of technology at the Global Chamber of Business Leaders and co-founder of ScaleTech. Arthur Lyons has been a serial entrepreneur and business development leader of most of his career. Prior to his entrepreneurial pursuit, Mr. Lyons has held many positions in ecosystem creation and strategic partnerships as it pertains to the services industry, due in part to his former post as a chemical specialist for the United States Army. During this time with the Army, Arthur was selected to be a part of a convoy security team where he ensured the time delivery, equipment, and personnel needed to successfully complete each mission. Wow, you guys, just amazing. We're also going to introduce now Catherine Webster. Our next guest is the founder of Tech Central SF and VetsinTech. VetsinTech supports our current and returning veterans with reintegration services and by connecting them with the national technology ecosystem. Under Catherine's leadership, VetsinTech has grown in 12 veteran-led chapters across the US in just 3 years, gained support from approximately 20 of top tech companies to hire veterans, and developed training programs with tech ecosystems that hire thousands of veterans. As a result of founding VetsinTech, there is now a community of thousands of veterans, both interested and working in technology careers, many helping future returning veterans in tech jobs around the country. VetsinTech has been recognized by the White House, amazing, Department of Labor and the Department of Labor for their work in innovation and leadership in creating new programs for veterans in entrepreneurship, employment, and education, and have received 2 certificates of honor from the city and county of San Francisco. Wow, that is phenomenal. Our next guest, last but not least, welcome Lieutenant Colonel Jennifer J.J. Snow, is the AFWorks Chief Technology and Innovation Officer at the United States Air Force. Go Air Force. Jennifer serves as the military representation for technology, outreach, and engagement, bridging the gap between government and various technology communities to improve collaboration and communications, foster a culture of innovation, identify smart solutions to wicked problems, and guide the development of future technologies to benefit the U.S. Air Force, Department of Defense, Integrity, and allied partners. Welcome, you guys. AFWorks also, listen, I'm sorry. AFWorks is a United States Air Force program with the goal of fostering a culture of innovation within the service, encompassing a number of programs supported by relatively small amounts of funding. The initiative is intended to circumvent bureaucracy and engage new entrepreneurs in Air Force programs. So without further ado, guys, now please join me in giving a warm welcome to our special guests, Arthur, Catherine, and Jennifer. Welcome, you guys.
Hi, thanks for having us. It's amazing to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Hey, awesome. Well, we are going to begin. We're going to have some really great discussions. We have some great questions queued up. So let's see. Let me pull this up. So May has marked officially Military Appreciation Month. It is a special month for both those in and out of this military. Not only do we pause on Memorial Day to remember the sacrifices and service of those who have given all, but the month also holds several other military anniversaries and events, including Military Spouse Appreciation Day and Armed Forces Day. In celebration of Military Appreciation Month, we want to start with a fun question for everyone to answer. What are your thoughts around the term vetpreneur? Is this a term you use within your organization? Jump right on in.
Yeah, definitely. You know, this is something that AFWorks uses because we feel like it identifies an important segment of growing entrepreneurs. The veterans that are coming in with new technology solutions are bringing a unique perspective for a number of reasons. They speak government and they also speak tech. So they're able to translate the requirements really well. They also have frequently an in-depth understanding of the challenges that are being faced across the government. And many of them are inspired by the work that they had done as an active duty member. They're now bringing that into their companies. And finally, you see a number of really high performers. The military really builds high performing teams and high performing individuals. And we're taught from day one how to be a leader, but also how to be a team player. And those are equally important strengths in the field of entrepreneurship. So I think the Vetrepreneur title says it all and really gives people an idea of what they can expect from this new class of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and it is a cool new name for our veteran entrepreneurs. We don't use it as much for only a couple of reasons. We also include military spouses, so we want to be like really clear when we say veteran entrepreneurs and military spouses, which is a longer way to say everything. But so we do use it occasionally. But we spell that out. Also, being right here in the heart of Silicon Valley, we do still work with a lot of mainstream, like VCs, investors, and service providers. And so we do sort of spell out veteran entrepreneurs just because they don't really know that term. So just a couple of reasons why we don't use it as often, but definitely a cool new name for veteran entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and for me, I think quite the opposite. I think it's a mindset that one has coming out of the military. In the military, we learn to adapt and overcome. And if a veteran looks at the business or a problem or creating a solution, I think veteranpreneur mind state is an excellent way to frame it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We actually just say mil spouse entrepreneurs. I really like I like combining words, it's kind of like acronyms, it's a military thing. So
Yes.
I really love that. All right, guys. So not only is it Military Appreciation Month, it's also Mental Health Awareness Month. And in the wake of COVID-19, millions of people have uncovered new mental health conditions and millions have had their existing challenges exacerbated. We must take action now to meet the needs of our communities and identify opportunities to build long-term resilience in celebration of today being Mental Health Action Day. We're curious on your guys' thoughts. Is entrepreneurship the answer to changing the landscape for emotional and mental health? What is your take on that, Catherine?
Yes, I think so. I think honestly, because we do a number of these hackathons and pitch events, and it's for years, it's been so impressive to see veterans coming up with apps at that do address exercises people can do on their mobile phones, for example, to engage them and keep them engaged and calming. And so there are, yeah, we do see quite a bit in that area. And now it's pretty interesting. We have an event coming up, with JP Morgan Chase, a pitch event, and we've been reviewing the business plans there. And it's really interesting how cannabis apps are, and cannabis banking is really coming into play now that that's all legalized. So yeah, we are seeing a lot in that space. We have seen some pretty cool things.
And I'm really liking the conversations of mental health, especially in the military space as military spouses and veterans. There's no longer a stigma to asking for help or talking about mental health. In fact, I'm finding it, and you guys let me know, I'm finding it more when you do voice, when you see a member voice or you see a spouse voice that they are having struggles, that there is like a plethora of support and people jumping in with resources, and there's no longer shame around it. And I really love that. And I think COVID-19 has also highlighted and opened those conversations in a way that there's no more shame around it. What do you think, JJ?
So I think we're definitely improving in that space. I know, having worked in the special operations community for a long time, this is a challenge because we build our special operators to be invincible. They have to be for the missions that they're taking on. Teaching somebody how to be vulnerable and invincible at the same time is tough, right? So we're really focused on getting the right tools and access points into our military members across the board, but in particular for our combat units or for the units that are experiencing the most amount of trauma, so that they can continue to perform the mission. But at the same time, it's not a cookie cutter fit. It's a tool set a bunch of options that they can choose from so that they have the best tools at hand to help them solve that problem set. And I suspect that entrepreneurs are going to continue to play a big role in this. We've worked with a number of companies at AFWorks that have done everything from voice analytics, helping us to identify when a member is suffering from depression or potentially suicidal, to artificial intelligence that can scroll through text to identify potentially a toxic workplace environment or somebody that's struggling in these areas and is showing words or terms that may mean that a supervisor or teammate needs to check in and see, hey, what's going on? Do you need additional help? And then also some really cool innovative health applications that are, cooperative with different types of drug treatments. And we've had several members that have gone through the more advanced, the MDMA treatments with great success. They're also using tools that are non-drug based that are helping them with sleep, that leverage off of meditation, different types of vibrations, and really helping them to get their lives back. So yeah, I definitely see entrepreneurship playing a big role in this area.
How about you, Arthur? I'd like to hear your point of view on it as well.
I think with the mindset of vulnerability, right, it creates strength. It allows you to feel empathy. And when you feel empathy, you can understand what a person or a group is going through. So that's the first thing. The second thing is how to be understanding, and understanding that people receive information differently. People might be a visual learner. You have to have empathy to learn that person. I believe once you master that, business is a lot more easier. And once you master, vulnerability, that becomes a strength.
Yeah, and just to add value to that, I do think when you have a leader that speaks up and says something about it, I think that opens the floodgates for others to feel like, wow, they're so strong, they're a leader, they're leading us, they're setting the stage, and it allows other people to say, I can do that too. So I really love everything you guys said about that. Vulnerability is huge. Let's move over back over to you, Arthur. Let's talk a little bit about how can the value and power of connection be established through your network? How have you collaborated with allies or strategic partners to create opportunities? You're on mute. Oh.
I'm sorry. I believe that your network is your network, right? It's wonderful to connect with people, but my father once said, it's not about how many people you know, it's about who knows you, right? So for instance, if you have to be open and honest with yourself and say, can I offer or can I learn off this individual? And for instance, JJ, my mentor, there's plenty of times where I have written long messages and she hasn't got back to me in a month. And that could have discouraged me. But I know off of her time that every time that I try to reach out to her is something different and progressive. So you have to take accountability for yourself of your network. How I'm implementing that at the Global Chamber, we actually just closed on a $150 million project to open a technology park. And my wishes is to cross collaboration with new technology. A lot of people see the acceleration on our company is never mine, but the only reason is because I collaborated with like-minded individuals overseas, and we have one vision, and just like the military, one team, one fight. So I'm excited for that.
Wow, I love the cross collaboration and Your network is your net worth. I love it. And I do think it doesn't matter how many people are in your network. I think it's what you do with those people, how you give support. So I love that. Catherine, let's move over to you. As founder of two very successful organizations, you have a ton of experience in the entrepreneurial world. You were awarded a certificate of honor by Mayor Gavin Newsom for organizing the pressing need to convene cutting-edge firms in the technology sector, high tech, biotech, and clean tech. What is your secret to success, girlfriend? What steps did you take to ensure you got things right, and what can stop someone from being a successful entrepreneur?
Well, I wasn't always successful, for one thing. So one is I definitely back to like Arthur and other people's point here on vulnerability. Failure is an option because right here in Silicon Valley, in the military that's really not considered, because if you fail, you can die, right? So, but here they wear it like a badge of honor, and you learn from that. And so learning from, past experiences is just so key. And then I guess my advice for others that are looking is I research and encourage everybody to research your, what you're trying to do, to make sure that you've really identified what is the problem. If you're going to go pitch a VC, make sure that that is something in their portfolio that they're interested in. VCs complain about that sort of a lot when people do approach them and they're really not even in that market. But you identify the problem, and then what is the solution? And is there a big market, is there a market for this? In the case with when then Mayor Gavin Newsom, I was leading Tech Central SF, and all the .com companies were popping up in the south of Market area in San Francisco, and they needed to know for economic development. And so we sort of created the Craigslist of tech. We listed all the companies and we engaged them. We ran all the media and events and sort of built community. And that's a big part of a lot of successes is that I've had anyway, is building community. But again, make sure that you know the problem, the solution, there's a market, there's a business model. I had to create a business model to sustain that in advertising or whatever. Whether, articulate whether you have proprietary technology, who's the competition, and have a strong plan, a strong marketing plan. So I think that's what I did a few times.
Yeah, I love it. Find the pain point, find a solution, build a community, and get your marketing life together, right? Like you can't take it to market. You can have an idea, but if you don't have a marketing strategy, you can really fail. So I think that's phenomenal. Great tips, Catherine. Jennifer, let's head over to you. I feel like I keep flopping back between like JJ and Jennifer.
It's all good. It's all good. Just not Jenny. The summer I taught at Boy Scout camp, all the Forrest Gump jokes came out, and it was Jenny this and Jenny that. I'm still traumatized by it. So JJ, Jen, or Jennifer, all work.
Okay, I'm gonna stick with JJ for the next 30 minutes. Okay. All right. Your background is in counter-proliferation and counterterrorism operations. It includes tours and deployments with AFSOC Special Tactics, JSOC 17th Training Wing, NSA, JOCCP, 17th ISR Wing, USSOCOM, and most importantly, AFWorks. What has been one of your favorite projects to work on that you can share with the audience today?
Yeah, this is, so there's so many to choose from, but the one that really, I love to tell people this story is we had been contacted by a special forces unit that was working in Iraq. And one of the challenges they were facing was resettling people after the major conflict had stopped, and a number of buildings had gone up. But the challenge was insurgents were actually placing bombs in the walls of these new buildings, the new homes. So as homeowners were moving in, they were either getting injured or killed in the process. We didn't have enough robots to deploy to clear all of the buildings and the facilities. We didn't have enough dogs. And of course, the teams on the ground did not have enough people between those, the special forces teams and the locals. So the Iraqis were not set to take this on. And so we started talking and brainstorming. We actually brought in a number of people from the public, and we said, look, we just want to brainstorm this idea. And we had people that were 50, 60 years old, and we also had teenagers that were sitting around talking about how can we do this affordably, smartly, and in a way that anybody would be able to do this. And this young man at the back of the crowd spoke up, and he said bubbles. And I wasn't sure if that was his call sign or if that was an idea. And he said, no, I have this idea. What if we use a bubble maker? And so a lot of the improvised explosive devices were triggered by garage door openers, which detect motion and sometimes heat. So we bought a bubble maker and we tried it out. And every time it would fill a small room with a whirling cloud of bubbles that would either trigger the motion or the heat or both sensors. And so we figured out for about $40, you could put one of these on a remote control car and run it through an entire home and let it sit for a few minutes in each room. And if there was an explosive device there, it would set it off. So that was one of the most interesting brainstorming events that we had. And it's one that goes to show that bringing perspectives is really, really important. So making sure that you have people that are coming from all backgrounds, all genders, all races, and all ages, really, really important to get after these problems. And open that aperture on the art of the possible.
Wow, talk about the simplest idea, or you know what I mean, that can really change and impact a project. Wow. Well, to all of you here, we want to know, what is the one time you took a huge risk and it paid off? Don't be shy. I know you guys have taken risks.
Okay, go ahead, JJ.
I was just going to say the biggest risk for me was jumping mid-career. Well, actually, I was mid-career. I was a major at the time, from being an intelligence officer over to being an innovation officer. A lot of people told me, hey, that's going to kill your career. It's going to kill your ability to promote. It was the best choice of my life because I was following my passion, and I knew, my strengths, what I'm good at. And I also knew what I was passionate about and where I could bring the most value for my clients, which is the Defense Department, right? And the US government. By making that leap, I brought a lot of the skills that I learned in special operations over to the innovation space, and was fortunate enough to get in on the ground floor with SOFWORK, Special Operations Command's Innovation Hub at the time, under Secretary Jim Gertz, and really start to build what the future of innovation was going to be for the Defense Department and the US government. And since then, I've had the opportunity to be an advisor or to sit on a number of teams across the US government, Department of Defense, and help them as they're building forward on new initiatives, but also help to connect them to the growing collaborative innovation space across all of the US government and Department of Defense, as well as our allied and NATO partners. So it was the best choice of my life. A lot of people told me don't do it, but I'm really glad I went for it.
That's amazing. How about you, Catherine?
Well, I have had a few because I'm old, and so I think a couple of my largest risks were when I was an intrapreneur inside of Sun Microsystems, where I was for 16 years, and I started $3 billion businesses. But the first one, I was told if it didn't pan out, it would mean my job. It would cost me my job. And I believed in it so much that I accepted the risk, and it did pay off quite a bit. And so from that point of view, I do want to encourage people on the call that intrapreneurship, when you're working for a company, please, be innovative, take risks, and go for it. And then to fast forward, starting up VetsinTech, I had no idea if it would really fly. My father was military all of his life, and that's the roots. I sort of got into it looking at his picture saying we're not doing enough to support the veterans. But honestly, starting a small nonprofit, there was no money in it. So I went off on my own, rented my place out to survive. And now I do have a small salary. So, but I love what you do. So entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship, they're, please, we were raised at Sun to take risks, and they are rewarded in some companies. Make sure you're, if you have a manager that, they're sort of on board with what you're doing. But I would say it's definitely worth it to take the risk.
How about you, Arthur?
Wow. Recently, I got laughed out the room, said it was impossible, but I figured out a way to automate the VA claim system process. And currently, we're going through the SBIR grant program, and why that is significant. The problem of homelessness and veteran suicide is really just waiting 3 to 6 months to even get a even response. So I got laughed at, and that's how I met JJ, and JJ's been advocating, and we're shortly about to complete the task.
And I just want to say, I'm really glad that Arthur came to us, because he had an idea that, it's something that's outside of the box, and we need outside of the box perspectives. And we also need people that understand these systems and processes from the inside out. Arthur lived it. So he knew what was broken, and he knew where the fixes needed to happen. So everything he built addressed that at the point of need. It's incredibly powerful, and it has the potential to revolutionize the future of veterans administrations for all of the vets that are coming. And so we got really excited about it. And I was glad that he reached out. I think it's a really cool project. I'm excited to see the future. It's going to help a lot of people.
And I really love that, because sometimes it takes going through a process and seeing all the holes and the things that could be improved on to make things better, which is why the Association of Military Spouses exists. As a military spouse, I couldn't find a job. It looked really bad that I moved every 3 years. So I started a business, but then I found it still really hard, and there weren't any resources specifically for military spouse entrepreneurs. So, we launched AMC. You got to find the problem. You got to fix the problem. It's not easy, but if it's there and you can do it, going through that experience will help you make the best product. I love that. What an exciting collaboration between you guys. So another question for the panel, for all of the military spouse entrepreneurs with us here today: how can you make mentorship matter in your careers? And what are some actionable pieces of advice that we can all take away on this call? What do you think, JJ?
This is such an important question. Providing those friendly front doors for our veterans, but also for military family members. One of the biggest challenges that a military family member faces is the fact that they're moving every 1 to 3 years. That's hard. It's hard to complete a school. It's hard to maintain a job. It's hard to maintain a skill set. And in many cases, it's hard to train into a new skill set if you don't have the right accesses and the right mentoring. What we're trying to do through AFWORKS in particular is provide a friendly front door where all of that exists. The resources are there. If you're a small business, we offer virtual office hours on Mondays for mentoring and questions. On Wednesdays or Thursdays, I'd have to go back and look, but for our SBIRs and our STTRs program, any company that's applying to that process for funding can actually meet weekly to ask for advice on their applications and have any questions answered, and they can attend as many of those as they want. But the bottom line is this: it's really important that we make the opportunities and the right expertise available for our veterans and our military families. And I feel like we're finally starting to do that, because in the digital space, you can build communities with those opportunities. And I would also say for military spouses and military members, family members of all ages, you have unique expertise that nobody else has. You've been and seen and done things that nobody else has been and seen and done because of the moves, because of the different cultures that you're exposed to, and because of the various opportunities. That's a strength. And it's something that as we're building these digital communities online, that becomes a powerful networking opportunity where you can share those experiences. And whether that's a youth entrepreneur or that's a military spouse, or that's actually a military member in transition, they can now reach out and tap into that knowledge base and really accelerate their business or their future as they're transitioning or as they're moving into that next job opportunity. They can figure out how to build that forward with the help of the expertise and the knowledge in those digital bases. So I would say we need to continue building those forward to benefit everybody.
Thank you. How about you, Arthur? Do you have any feedback on that?
Yes. Be coachable. Like I tell people all the time, the greatest cycle is mentee turn mentor. I developed a mantra: teach people what you've been taught. With that attitude, the vulnerability, the ego is out of the way, and you can learn. Whatever your verticals are in industry, I'm pretty sure that you can find a mentor. And for us younger people, there are plenty of elderly, not elderly, but wise men and women out there that's of industry that just want to give their knowledge. But is how bad do you want it? You have to put in the effort. It's not just going to be given to you.
Yeah, and I was going to add mentor makers. Like that's been mentorship is, like you said, one of the biggest reasons that AMC was born, and the reasons I think all of us here have been successful, and those that are in attendance. You should be paying it forward, and you should be also trying to find ways to consistently learn and level up and really expand your network. So I really love the Mentor Makers platform. It adds that special feature to it. How about you, Catherine? What do you think?
Yeah, I think we need to do a better job all the way around on outreach to military spouses because yeah, and some things have changed. The silver lining of COVID, that now some of these issues that have existed with boundaries and their ability to be there in person, now they can join online. And so we're planning to do better outreach, better building of the community, support mil spouse entrepreneurs because we do see quite a few. They're so resilient and innovative, and because you've needed to be moving around and all the things that you go through. So VetsinTech, we're creating. The VetsinTech Sun, which stands for Startup Network. And it's really, again, back to you used one of my famous lines, your network is your net worth. And so we want to provide that network. And, again, we built quite a list of investors and service providers that we're going to be able to help connect. The Mentor Makers program is great, and since we're partners with NASDAQ, we'll be working together to provide more support for mil-spouse entrepreneurs and military spouses overall, because we do focus on education, employment, and entrepreneurship. So I saw a question earlier, mil spouses can definitely take our classes through the VetsinTech Academy. But yeah, we're planning to just do a better job on outreach.
I love that. I love that you're inclusive to military spouses. And yeah, that was a question I was going to pop over. So I'm glad you saw that and you answered it and can connect with the attendee. Out there, let me ask you, how can a mentor, and you kind of touched on this a minute ago, how can a mentor change the trajectory personally and professionally for yourself? Who are some of the mentors that have affected your career? I know you already talked about JJ. I mean, come on, but I'm sure you can share a little more insight on that.
Yes, for sure. So personally, there's three people I like to highlight, and the first is my father. And he's like the reason that I got into business. I just want to make him proud. And the second is my mother. Pardon me. The second is my mother. She showed me that persistence always pays off. And I'm sorry. She immigrated from Jamaica and she just made something of herself. And the last person is unique. She taught me vulnerability is your strength, and you don't know what you don't know, and it's okay. Um, Professionally, Justin Dean, he helped me a lot. JJ, just a lot of people.
Wow. I love that. You guys, mentorship can really change your life. I mean, this is such a strong example. And thank you for sharing that. That's what we talked about earlier, is being vulnerable and sharing, right? Because I think that's how people are able to really pull back those layers and say, I'm here because of this, or this is what I need. Wow. I'm kind of taken back myself. That was beautiful. All right, you guys, we have a few more minutes left, but I really want to keep the conversation going and talk more about mentorship. Where does an entrepreneur without a traditional network find mentors, and how can they make mentorship matter anywhere in the world? Any specific considerations or opinions for developing mentor relationship in rural or lower income communities, or even abroad in a third world country? And I will say from my experience as a military spouse who's with my kids for almost 12 years, I didn't really have a network. I didn't know what mentorship was. So what do you guys think? How can they get involved, and how can we do more?
Yeah, I would say right off the bat, don't be afraid to reach out. One of the things that I was challenged to do was to begin building bridges with the ethical hacker network. And hackers typically are not really great friends with the federal government for a number of reasons. And there's been a bunch of challenges communication wise in the past, and other challenges as well. But I had some friends that were in the community, and we knew that they had expertise that it was going to be beneficial to our knowledge moving forward. So I started to reach out, and I met people where they were. That meant going to their house, or going to a cafe, or going to their workplace and sitting down and listening to them. That meant listening to grievances as well as listening to ideas on how to improve, and doing more listening than I was doing talking. The other piece that came out of that was go to where the people you want to learn from are. That might be on LinkedIn to start an initial discussion. But if you want to learn something about architecture, or you want to learn something about mentoring, or you want to learn something about space, go to the places where those people are networking, where they're meeting, where they're sharing knowledge, and tell them, I'm new. I want to learn about this. I don't know much. Here's what I do know. What can you teach me? And then if you have somebody that is aligned with your values and ethics, and that is a leader in the space that you want to get into, contact them, write them a very polite message on LinkedIn and say, look, I don't know a lot about this, but I'd like to learn more. And I think you have the skill set to help me. Would you please make the time? And I'm happy to accommodate your schedule. That can begin building a value-based network. I started with 110 people back in 2014 when I first got involved with LinkedIn and started building my network. I have now more than 14,000 because of the people that I've met. There are about 10,000 on LinkedIn. The others are in real life that I've talked to. That is a person-to-person network. And because I know each and every person, I know their value, and I'm able to now leverage that both for in government and outside of government opportunities to benefit a lot of people moving forward.
I love what you're saying about a value-based network, because I think people are always so focused on the numbers. And we talked about that earlier. You can have so many people in your network, but if you don't know what they do and how you can support them, and better yet, how they can support you and help you, and how you can cross collaborate, it doesn't even matter. How about you, Catherine?
Yes, and that was a great point, JJ, also about LinkedIn. I've been on that since 2003 when they started, and you know, I'm hopeful people know how to use that and are using it. But um, you know, I had great mentors throughout my career, including, you know, the wonderful Eric Schmidt, who was at Sun Microsystems at the time and now went on to be CEO of Google. But a lot of it was even peers, you know, peers with more experience, and they just helped me through that. The community is so important, and you know, VetsinTech first and foremost is a community, and then we have awesome partners like NASDAQ. So in your like-minded, whether it's, you know, it's entrepreneurship that you're looking for and need mentors, we have also launched, you know, a mentoring platform, but through the Sun network and through NASDAQ Mentor Makers. Those are some of the best. So we've got a great network that can support more veterans and military spouses. And so, yeah, it's just so valuable to be in this community. And like people like Arthur and JJ, you know, like I'm now connected and Moni with all of you, and that just expands all of our network. So I'll come tapping on your door probably if somebody needs help.
Yes, I love that. You guys, this has been phenomenal, inspiring, and it has just been so great to be able to really be transparent. We have also been very transparent on this. We talked about a lot of pain points and how we can continue to support each other's networks and grow. We're going to move on to a couple of Q&A questions now that we have a bunch here. So the first question, you already answered it, Catherine, but I didn't know if you wanted to kind of add any more to it. Are mil spouses qualified to take VetsinTech classes?
Yes, absolutely. We VetsinTech made a concerted effort a few years back to launch Women VetsinTech, and we were that expanded into military spouses. And I would say now, like the women in the VetsinTech community are higher than what it is in military itself, over 20 to 25%, and I would say about 5%, which is why we want to grow the MilSpouse community. They are definitely welcome. I'm so happy to see them in almost every class we do. We're training in, you know, web dev, cybersecurity, data science, AI, machine learning, and cloud computing. So definitely send, if you're a MilSpouse, come find us, because we have lots through the VetsinTech Academy that we can get you enrolled in.
Fantastic. Our next question is, what will be your advice to startups and small companies to take more vets and gain from their experiences?
There's just a tremendous amount of talent in our veterans as they're leaving the military, and whether that's 4 years or that's a 20+ year career, they bring some unique strengths. You have that leadership and that adaptability that's built in because of the training and the experiences and the exposure to a lot of different cultures, environments, and opportunities. You also have a really unique set of perspectives. They can help you to navigate the government and the military side very well if your company's interested in that, but they also are going to help you see things from a number of different lenses, and that's powerful too. Frequently, they're open to new ideas and new approaches, more so than a typical organization, a large bureaucratic organization might be. So if you're willing to and want to move beyond incremental innovation and you want to try something transformational, drop a few veterans into that space, give them the top cover they need, and let them run, and then step back and see what kind of goodness comes out of that. I think a lot of companies will be pleasantly surprised. I know a lot of companies are already actively seeking veterans for these roles because of the strengths that they bring in these areas.
Yes, that is such great insight. This one's for you, Arthur. How can I get help transitioning into my own career coaching business to serve veterans, to include a business development center that assist entrepreneur-minded veterans? What resources do you have to get started?
Well, it depends on what region, but the thinking behind that is excellent, because basically what I'm hearing is incubation center, where you can teach veterans business in different verticals. The first step is build your team. What you don't know, you don't know. So whatever you don't know, find somebody that do. And far as like veterans, we thrive in community building. So it benefits the company when you put them in an environment where it's community based and you can get the top production out of them and the company.
Such a great answer. Our next question is, any way to get connected info for the panelists? I've already been bugging Catherine though. This is Reed Bennett. I think that's fantastic. If everybody here on the panel wants to drop their LinkedIn, also we have been tagging, I know NASDAQ Entrepreneur Center has been tagging them on social media as well, but also tell us specifically if there's an email or anything for each of you that we can drop here and let them know about. Oh, here, Catherine already dropped hers. Also, Mentor Makers, all of us are on Mentor Makers. We have a profile. You can schedule an appointment there as well. All right, guys, we have some more questions that were submitted, and you guys can answer them as you like. Do you know resources that provide startup grants and financially exclusively to vets and their families?
But I know for sure we've got a number of those across, and it's not exclusive, it's open to everybody, but we've got a number of those across the Department of Defense. So the National Science Foundation, Naval X, DIUX, AFWorks. So you can reach out to any of these organizations. All of us have websites online. The most recent group, the MGM Works, Montgomery, Alabama, for Air Education and Training Command. They're doing education, developmental tech, workforce development, and a lot of around DEI initiatives and leadership initiatives. So I think that the best path forward is if you reach out to a number of these for the government side, you have opportunities to team up with existing government projects and programs. I would also say, I mean, you're on a NASDAQ panel right now. This is a fantastic entrepreneurial center to approach and ask that question to, because they do prioritize, in this particular case, veterans and military spouses. Please reach out to Mentor Makers and talk to them, because they have a fantastic program, and this is a great way to get information fast to build to where you need to go.
Yeah, that is great. I love the new things AFWorks and DIU and others are doing, and the SBIR kind of grants that are out there for veterans. We also have an opportunity coming up with JP Morgan Chase, I mentioned earlier, but there is going to be prize money and we hope to do more of that. So if you haven't seen yet the VetsinTech sponsored by JP Morgan Chase, there's going to be 25 to 10 and 5K awards for some of those. And like I said, just, every little bit helps. It might pay, you're incorporating your legal fees or something. And then I would also always keep abreast of what the SBA is doing. The SBA has an office of small business to support veterans specifically. And I know they've got a great network throughout the United States of small business centers. So there could be grants from the SBA as well.
Yes, and there are a lot more, and I know that all of our networks share them as well. I know at AMC, we are always sharing grant opportunities from all of our partners. I also want to jump into a very last question for today from each of you, and that is, what is the one takeaway you would leave the audience today?
Anything is possible. You just have to have faith in God and just trust yourself and surround yourself by the right people, and anything is possible. And one thing a wise woman once told me: watch how people that are in positions, how they treat you when they can't do nothing for you. Those are the people you need to run away from.
Wow, I love that. How about you, JJ?
You know, if I've learned one thing this last year with COVID-19, it's that coming together, and mentorship in particular, is tremendously powerful. I've had the opportunity to work on COVID response and to work on mentoring and networking globally. We have the ability through mentorship to level up everybody. And that could be for cybersecurity, that could be for international healthcare, that could be for international education. And our parts are getting closer together. We're finding that globally now more than ever, we're neighbors. So I would say mentorship is a way to level everybody up at the same time. And we need to start thinking about how do we come together collaboratively to find those cross-cutting solutions that benefit a larger portion of the world, and then scale that out from there. That would be the one big takeaway. I see a lot of this starting to happen already, from grassroots up to regional levels. Now let's take it transnationally to benefit even a greater portion of the globe.
Catherine? Anything?
Yeah, and I would just say, if you're pursuing a entrepreneurial endeavor, don't give up, seek advice and the mentorship. You've got a great organization and mentorship through NASDAQ, the Mentor Makers program, and us in partnership. And so continue with that, whether, it's I don't know if you want to start a company that's going to make 10x and millions of dollars, or a small business, that helps just support the company. But there's always a way to get that support. So we are here, happy to support Mentor Makers and you together. And just happy Military Appreciation Month to all of you. And thank you so much for all of your service.
Wow, those are some really great takeaways. And I'm going to add one and just say, put yourself out there. You never know what can happen. Introduce yourself. The worst thing that can happen is being ignored or getting a no. But pull a seat up to that table and squeeze in. People will move over once you start speaking. And with that said, I am really excited, and I would love for you guys to join us in our next Mentor Makers experience. Make sure that you also take the survey, because we want to hear from you. We want to continue to bring conversations that matter, and just like this one, to you guys. So make sure you take the survey that's posted here. And our next event is going to be the Mentor Makers Live Pride Celebration, Thursday, June 17th. I'm really excited about that. And we want to I already talked about the survey. I want to make sure I get the survey in. But yeah, in closing, I want to thank everybody so much for taking us time to come and speak with us in our community today, share your insight and such a great overview of entrepreneurship. On behalf of entrepreneurship, NASDAQ Entrepreneurship Center, and everyone in attendance, we sincerely thank you